Hello everyone. Welcome back to Play On. My name is Candace Barrett.
I'm Rob Mackay.
And Piercy is recovering from a surgery, an ankle surgery. So, speedy recovery and rest up.
Yeah, so someone's broken his ankles, right? So
self-inflicted?
Does that mean he's been... Yeah, that's self-inflicted. Was he sidestepped around the back of a scrum? Anyway, get well soon, mate. Look forward to seeing you back on your cheery dial and your aerodynamic post-race
exactly.
vibe.
He'll be extra fast now.
He will be extra
fast. I can't imagine all the extra matches he'll be able to do.
Yeah, that's right. Well into his second 1,000. So, yes.
Shall we start with some general rugby news?
Oh, straight into general rugby news?
Yep.
All right. Off you go, Candace. What do we got?
So I wanted to highlight there was a Warringah Rats player. So this is in our Shute Shield games that we have here in Sydney. And there was a star player named Wes Thomas, and he suffered a very bad, devastating neck injury. So I can't imagine what happened in that game. Even as a match official, when someone gets seriously injured, it's never a good sign. But there is a GoFundMe page for this player if you do want to donate for this. And I think it's over $100,000 as well so far. So it's clearly the community is gathering around to make sure this player can get back to, like, I assume, everyday stuff. I don't know what his condition is at the moment, but yeah, I wanted to throw it out there for people.
Happily, it's not as bad as first thought by the looks of it. So that's great news. Wes is one of those players that has respect across the clubs. He's a good footy player too, just quietly.
Oh yeah, especially if you're playing Shute Shield. Defo.
Well, he won the Ken Catchpole medal last year, if I remember correctly. So that's best and fairest across the competition. So he goes all right. So he had a visit from Richard Toms recently. Tomsy's Hearts and Union, and a guy who's had a serious spinal injury. He's wheelchair bound himself, Tomsy. Wes is probably not going to suffer that fate by the looks of it. So that's great news. But we'll share a link for the GoFundMe page. And if you want to help out Wes and his family, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. And then exciting news, the Wallaroos have now finally have announced their head coach, Sion Fuka.
Yeah, it's one you want to pronounce correctly, isn't it? Sione? Fuka. And I don't think I've done the surname quite right, but yes, and in
he
true
was the
style.
Scottish coach as well, I believe.
Well, yeah, he's been around the houses.
Yeah. Wasn't he an assistant as well for the Wallaroos?
Yes.
Am I making that up? Yes.
Yeah,
okay.
No. So he sort of jumped around a bit, and it's been a soap opera. It really has. So there's been a bunch of us sort of, waiting for Godot moments for the Wallaroos coach to be announced, because Jo Yap resigned well over a year ago.
Oh, yeah.
We knew she was leaving.
She's now the British and Irish Lions coach. So,
correct.
There you go. Yeah.
So, she was finishing up after the World Cup. She gave a very clear message that was happening. Then there was all sorts of, behind the scenes planning or not, depending on whose angle you take, about how she was going to be succeeded. And the Wallaroos have had interim coaches and more interim coaches, and they still have an interim coaching panel now. It's headed up by Tim Walsh, who's now essentially the performance director for women's rugby in Australia, which is good. The situation of Sione leaving Scotland is a little untidy by all reports.
Because they have WXV and all that jazz. So.
Well, they got a test. They got a test in 10 days.
And the test.
So, they've got a bit on their plate. So Tim's leading an interim coaching group, which is actually a pretty good collective. So I think they'll be okay in the interim, and then Sione will take over full-time next year through to the 29 World Cup. Could it have been tidier? I think so.
Yes.
Do we have a Wallaroos coach announced? Yes, we do. Do the girls know what's happening? Yes, they do. Fantastic. And the squad's been announced. So that's pretty interesting too. So, yeah.
Happy days.
Have you? Yeah.
I haven't had a chance to look at it, but I'm getting excited.
Well, I will say that we have some debutants listed in the squad, and we have more sevens players listed. So the immediate impact of Tim taking over and a holistic mindset is that we've got more crossover, which has been talked about for a long time, but we haven't done very well. But I'm very excited to see Maddie Levi playing 15s because she's been
I
named.
think there's lots of people that you've seen it with players where they sort of want to be involved in a World Cup. So maybe there's certain things that they need to do in the lead up to being possibly selected later down the line. So it'd be very interesting to see how those people manage that, having so much great talent, basically.
Well, that's certainly part of it, and also making the most of our playing stock as well. We haven't been doing it as well as some of the other countries. Canada and New Zealand do it really well.
Yeah. Well, great programming.
Yes, I thought you'd appreciate how good New Zealand were at it. So
that is also correct. Next, guys, if you haven't watched, there was the All Blacks played the Sharks. Am I being correct? Over the past weekend.
Yes.
And there's a special haka in Durban. So he's like, what? No offense to age, but 40 years old or something.
At GST, yeah. He's 44.
Yeah.
Or 40. Depends which commentator you are. Some say 43. Some say Manona's 44. Doesn't matter. He's at an age where most people are commentating or coaching or doing something other than playing elite rugby.
Playing. And so I just really enjoyed just seeing his response to the haka, being able to do one on his own. It takes a lot. And I think, it was beautiful to see. And it was, even though it was a very one-sided game, I quite enjoyed seeing the highlights and everything as well. So, yeah.
Both Piercy and I have refereed Ma. Piercy's probably done him a few times. We refereed him at Aqua Rugby most recently. He was one of the headline stars at Aqua Rugby. My goodness, he's a big human. And he doesn't miss you. The biggest risk for us was having him run into us on the pontoon, and that wouldn't have been good.
You'd be flung out, and the sharks will get you in the water.
Yeah. I tell you what, he had a good time, though. Don't know about his opposition so much, but yeah. So
I'd be so scared.
Awesome
I would just jump in the water. I would just be running straight into the water if I was them.
That was one of the special things about rugby, wasn't it? The haka and then his response. That is very special. So.
And lastly, Super Rugby Australia draw is out. So they kick off on the weekend on the 12th and 13th of September. Yeah, we've written short and sharp. So that's quick.
Short and sharp. There's a little window there. They play a few rounds, then have a final, and then we move on because then there's other things happening. So it'd be really nice if that gets extended in due course. Hopefully it will. Probably not next year because there's some event happening here next year that
just
may
a small,
preclude that.
Low-key event.
Just a little gathering of a few,
like a little
few footy players.
A little indie festival.
All right. So what else have we got, Candace?
Well, I was going to bring up some match official rugby news. And then I wanted to ask you, I was going to ask you and Piercy a question, but I think it's relevant to like both of us as well. So match official rugby news. There was a email sent to us from a listener about a particular referee who had their 800th game.
Yeah, so there was an email sent to us saying, look, let's acknowledge Jim. And by the way, this is Jim Scardanis, who's currently refereeing.
There we go.
I
was trying to find the full email where they said the last name.
He's down in the Illawarra, and he is reportedly knocked off his 800th match.
That is insane.
That is insane, and it's fairly elite company. There's not many people who are at that level. We think there's maybe half a dozen. Supposedly Peter Cook, Graham Cook.
Nathan Pearce, Central West, over 1,000.
Yeah, and our very own Piercy. Yeah, that's right. So that's the level that we're talking about. So esteemed company. So Jim, well done. Your service is awesome. Thank you.
Also got a cool little shield as well, which is fun, and a medal.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. So well deserved. Mate, keep on blowing. Great stuff.
Well done. Alrighty. This one is an interesting one because it sort of came up naturally when I was having a referee sort of group chat. situation. So when you're in a situation in a game where you have to send off the captain, do you like to do you try to take away that they're a captain and just do like color number, send them off, and then try to figure out who the new captain is straight away? Or do you send them off, not worry about it until you have your next sort of penalty or scrum to try to figure it out?
So you've got to send the captain off because they've been naughty, right?
Yeah, XYZ. Don't know why.
Doesn't matter if they're the captain. You get rid of them. They don't have any special treatment. So off you must go. And then while that's all happening, you ask who the new captain is. Just like if the captain gets subbed, it's no different to that. So we see captains get subbed, often enough. Or they get injured.
So do you ask the captain who their replacement is, or you just sort of ask it to the wider team?
Well,
because sometimes coaches and people obviously nominate a captain, so it's interesting to see who they feel is best suited.
Most teams have a leadership group, right? Even in community footy. So if the captain gets sent off the field, depending on the circumstances, if the captain's spitting chips, then probably best not to ask them. But if the captain's cool and calm and it's, you got me, off you go, just ask the question, like, who's the captain? If no one stepped forward, but often someone comes forward and goes, right, he's off, I'll be your captain for the next 10 minutes or till the end of the game. So
sometimes there's just like funny pause and everyone just looks at each other.
Well, there is that. Figure it out. There is that. And if no one steps forward, unless it's very early in the game, you usually have a feel for who the natural leaders are in the team anyway. So you might actually select someone yourself until nature takes its course and someone puts their hand up or you get told otherwise. And I always like to go for a front row because I can talk to them at the scrum. And I've usually got a relationship with them because I've been talking to them at the scrum. So
not someone who's a fullback that's so far away.
They're the worst captains. It's like you got to send a telegram and a smoke signal. Yeah. Scrum or line out. Yeah. Huh?
What?
And then 15 other players go, scrum, line out, scrum, line out. It's like, no. It's a really good question, Candace, because you want to sort it out. So you got chain of command. But it usually happens pretty organically. Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway, just thought I would open that up because some people had different views, obviously, like you were saying, depending on like what's happening in the game. Well, determine
that's right. Yeah.
As well. Let's move on to some test rugby. We had some wonderful rugby this past weekend. We had Japan versus Australia, Argentina versus South Africa, and obviously we just briefly spoke about the All Blacks as well. All Blacks will be very busy. Anyway, shall we?
Absolutely.
I looked at their calendar. I was like, oh God. Shall we go on to Japan versus Australia?
Well, why not? And what do you think the biggest talking point is in that match?
The second rower and the red card. Well, initially a yellow card, which then got upgraded to a red card.
Yeah, exactly. And there's an awful lot of confusion around what's happened here. And it's an interesting scenario because Miles Amatosero, he has a reputation. He's got a reputation as a hothead. That was exacerbated before the Super Rugby season kicked off because he had a fight with one of his teammates. He got stood down because of that. So he's on the radar, notwithstanding
He also wants someone to be a bit of a pest as a second rower at the same time.
Yeah, absolutely.
You want them to sort of be a pest around breakdowns and annoying people. Yeah.
Yeah, and every team usually has at least one of them. Because
and they really test those match officials.
Well, they do the shitters as well. They do the 1%ers. They get under the opposition's skin. They do the work, etc. And we've got a few of them floating around. LSL Lucan's another one. Willie Skelton is another one.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all big men who, if they hit you, you hit. But it also, if we need to take his reputation out of it and look at the facts. And this is where it gets really interesting. So for me, the actual incident itself is a really good example of how it's a game of inches, right? So he's gone in for a clear out. He has clocked the Japanese player in the head.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Absolutely. So that triggers off a whole process. But if you look at most breakdowns, the players are coming in low. They're trying to hit shoulder on shoulder to drive the opposition off the ball because that's what we see all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's
there was a player already
probably
doing that as well, by the way. There was a player already taking him out.
And if you go back and look at any of the breakdowns, shifting bodies off the ball, you can sort of forklift them, but that's very slow and not very productive. So they come in and drive and try and just sort of get under the shoulder and drive them off the ball, which means to go shoulder to shoulder, it's kind of hard to wrap. So you usually come in with your shoulder, your other arm, and the shoulder arm down low. So it's not a great look. We don't actually police it hugely because it's sort of an accepted thing. But if
there's
you get
the intent.
it wrong,
I always feel like there's the intent as well.
It's really messy. So, and this is what we've got to unpack. There's a lot to unpack here. So Owen, to his credit, he spotted it straight away. So he's blown time off.
Mm-hmm.
There's been a bit of argy-bargy.
And he had to run onto the other side to then view it, I think, on the TV as well.
Yeah, that was for the screen. So,
yeah.
But what's important here is because there's been head contact, that triggers the head contact process. And that's a protocol that is in place that everyone knows about. And it's really important that we talk about that because a lot of people are talking about mitigation, and I'll come to that in a minute. So the head contact process is a World Rugby document.
It's a beautiful little tree, by the way.
It's a wonderful chart. It applies at all levels of the game. We use it in community. We use it in junior rugby. First question, has head contact occurred? No? Okay, so we're outside the process of head contact. So we don't use this anymore. Off you go. So then the next question is, yes, head contact's occurred. Okay, so was there any foul play? No. So we're at play on, or yes, player at fault. So in this case, it's yes, but it could be no. It could be two players really low to the ground, or it could be two players from the same team. And you often see that where tackler comes from the right, tackler comes from the left. They knock each other out. Well, are we going to red card them? Well, no, we're not, because that's just a rugby incident. So no head contact process needed there.
Situations.
Yeah. So have we got player at fault? Yes. Okay, so what's the degree of danger? And then we look at that, high, medium, low. If it's high, that means we're in red card territory. We then have to ask if there's any mitigation, and that could be the player dropping, etc. However, mitigation becomes moot because if there is intentional or always illegal acts of foul play. If it's deemed that it's an intentional or always illegal act, then the player drops, it's irrelevant. So you don't get the benefit of mitigation.
In this case, let's say there was already a player clearing out that Japanese player. So meaning that he didn't need to come in to whack a shoulder in because he was already being cleared, in my eyes. So I feel like the intent was always there.
And that's what the match officials have ruled. And Richard Kelly, who was the TMO, when they had their decision, he was always illegal.
I see a wider view as well. Like you can see, that's just that instant. But where did that player come from? Did they notice? Yeah, there's always situations.
So his line was, he's always illegal with no effort to wrap, with direct head contact and a high degree of danger. Well, that's bing, 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 bing. The opening line there is always illegal. So that's always going to be a red.
Yeah.
And the mitigation is irrelevant. Now, a couple of things to say. I think despite his reputation, he was a bit unlucky in the sense that I don't think he was aiming for his head. I think he just got it wrong. I think it was just a standard clear out that went horribly wrong. But that's a moot point. You go in like that, you run that risk. So that's on the player. Absolutely. Secondly, always illegal. It could have been a full red. It wasn't. It was a 20-minute red. So he's off.
That's right. Correct. Yeah, the 20-minute. Yeah.
Not to be replaced. He's subsequently ended up being sanctioned. So he's come up with a 6-3-2 on the sanction chart. So entry level 6 matches. downgraded to 3 for all the usual reasons, good behaviour, remorse, etc. And it'll go down to 2 if he does the, to use the vernacular, tackle school, which is the World Rugby Intervention Program. So he'll miss a couple of tests and a club game, or a test and a club game, depending on whether he does so-called tackle school. So there's a bit of process there. Need to get the process right. And here we are. He's been suspended, and I don't think anyone will be too unhappy about that. But it just goes to show fine margins in the game, and you need to be accurate. Otherwise, you end up in this situation. So hopefully that explains it.
Yeah, that was a good breakdown. And I feel like, it helps people understand. And this is why it's so interesting being a match official, because someone could see something just slightly different, and that might determine a different outcome. Like you're saying, a 20-minute versus a full versus, anything else. But
let's say
I think it was really good.
If he'd come in with a clear rap, and therefore the match officials said he wasn't always illegal, then you're probably going to mitigate it to a yellow, because the player was dropping.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
Right? So it was probably an easy yellow, like a solid yellow. That's it. Nothing more to see here. But moot point. It was illegal, so direct head contact.
Bing, bang, boom.
Bang.
Alrighty. So that was the main thing, and Australia won. Woo. Very fine margins, though.
2 in a row. We're on a roll, Candace.
Woo. Next is Argentina versus South Africa. Another 7-point margin with that one. And and good off for Christoph, the kid who managed this. I feel like, it was a big game for him, and hopefully he got treated nicely by players and staff members when he was there, just because of how Argentina was a few weeks prior. Anyway, so lots of stoppages with that. South Africa stretching it out of the use it call we have as a note here.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Should he do, I know how Ben O'Keefe likes a little countdown when he does the use it, so maybe they'll make them.
It's been really interesting watching the flow, or the lack of flow, in some of these matches. So, the Japanese game was played at a frantic pace.
Oh yeah,
and in hot conditions.
But I feel like that's what Eddie likes.
Argentina, and that's what we want to play too, right? So, but it's an old cliche, but South Africa were trying to control the tempo. Argentina weren't able to counter that. There were lots of stoppages, trainers on the field. It's just messy. I mean, at one stage, I think in one of these games, there was a trainer on the field, and I reckon they were standing there, a South African trainer. I reckon they were standing there to give the South African kicker a target, kick at me for a 50-22. I just had that vibe to it. So, anyway.
Rassie doing Rassie things.
Rassie being Rassie, yeah. I felt sorry for Christoph. There was a field goal attempt, and Christoph has worked really hard, and he's basically next to the goalposts as it hits the upright, and it bounces 30 metres back upfield. So he's got to hit the handbrake and turn around and go all the way up the field. Like, he was working really hard. He's fit enough.
He will be able to do that. It's all good.
So, yes, he did well.
Work rate, very good.
The crowd certainly came into it. There was a South African player went out, and then the match official team missed it. It was picked up eventually by the teamo, but boy, oh boy, did the crowd let him know. Like the whistling and the howling. They got it right in the end.
Was that the elbow one where he did?
Yeah. There was an ironic cheer.
Just like you have like a bunch of little TMO people on the side. Ouch.
Yeah.
People should. I don't condone it, but bring your own flag.
Yeah.
Do you have any other little bits? What's this one? These are all acronym stuff that I.
Rugby's
RGRSTO.
Rugby's greatest rivalry, Stormers against New Zealand.
There we go. Thank you.
That was the opening game. So, crazy game, very much yin and yang. So, the All Blacks played at a frantic pace, certainly early, and their flow was amazing. But
who was the referee again?
That was Carl, I think.
Carl, yeah, because I know
correctly.
there's Like Holly, Carl, Matthew, Carly, like they're all sort of over there as a whole team. Nika
So
and all of them, yeah.
So it was Carl in the middle, Matt Carley and Holly Davidson on the flags, Andrew Jackson and Mike Adamson on the screens. Yeah, so the Stormers managed to put a handbrake on it, and look, it was so cliched. Kiwis were trying to play fast, the South Africans were trying to play set piece, and we sort of had this yin and yang throughout the match. Again, lots of stoppages. We had a really long stoppage for the first Stormers try. The try was given, then it was pulled back because it was truck and trailer. Then they found a yellow card for the All Blacks 6. And, playing right into the Stormers' hands. They'd love that. Get a chance to relax. It takes the sting out of the Kiwis. So, eventually the All Blacks prevailed, but not overly convincingly. So, but, they were showing their smarts as well. So they had a yellow card at one stage, and there was a whistle. They played way past the whistle. They ran down the fields, brought the ball back slowly, probably chewed off 90 seconds.
No.
Yeah, like
time wasting.
Shades of grey. Sorry, I didn't hear the whistle.
Or more management.
Just game smarts, right?
Yeah.
But look, the highlight for me was the Stormers 9. He was doing old school dive passes, and to top it off, at one point there was a dive pass into a field goal attempt. Like it was back to Nas Botha days. I was like, what's going on here? So Nas was the
what year
the
is
South
that?
African. Yeah. Well, before you existed, Candace. So he was the South African 10, and he wasn't known for passing the ball. Let's just say that. It was back in the 10-man rugby days.
That's what his main job.
Well, no, he's a kicker. Well, we'll kick. We'll kick. So we'll kick field goals. We'll kick for touch. We'll kick field goals. And dive pass to him. That was the MO, right? So that was old school seeing that. Brought back many memories. So there you go.
Love it. On to trends and talking points, because it's also relevant for here in Australia. We have finals series leading up, and I think one of that part is obviously match officials is dealing with technical zones as well. You'll see more match officials. If you're not in the middle or involved as an assistant referee, you might be appointed as someone who's AR 3 or 4. So managing, those subs. And with that, I think it's interesting about just getting back to technical zone, just dealing with trainers and the constant screaming or just being a pest to the ARs. And I think that's what's hard being AR sometimes, is you're so close to that noise versus maybe the referee who's more obviously involved in the middle and hearing more player stuff at that point. But I think it's good. I have ARs this weekend in my own game, but I don't have no comms. So I've sort of told myself I need to check in with my ARs at lineouts or downtime. And I think that's a really good point for ARs. If you don't have comms in order to feed that back on those sort of downtime to that referee, if you hear sort of appalling things being said, or just helping them on things that happen in downplay as well, if you're trailing.
Yeah, so if you're an AR without comms and a team of 3, with your pre-match briefing as a team of 3, you work out what your communication process is. So,
exactly.
Look, I'll check in with you at scrums or lineouts or injuries or subs, whatever it might be. So you got that expectation so that as the AR, line out my side. Right, the referee's going to come to me and ask me what I'm seeing. Right, I need to give a really short, succinct, accurate picture. And it might be nothing to add, or red zone trend,
true.
or
don't add something to me if it's not worthy.
You don't have to give something. Saying nothing to add might be really good because the referee's on top of everything.
Doing what we're doing.
It might be a game where the team of 3 needs to work together because there is a lot happening. So, as you say, Candace, there might be stuff happening off the ball behind the referee. There might be backs coming up early, all sorts of things, right? So you can get that across in 3 or 4 quick words, then that paints a picture for the person in the middle. So,
and you have
good
another point. Yeah, exactly. Another point here well, I would expect this in an Argentina-South Africa match, benches almost on the field. So for those who maybe will have high intensity matches, just be aware, like there's clearly marked little either rope or areas for them to stay with their perfect little seats and chairs. So just making sure that that's all in line and reminding them to stay in there because, yeah, not good if they're...
We have technical zones for a reason. So keep them in it. Use the ground marshals and the match official managers, etc., on the sideline to get them in the zone. I mean, we saw it at the elite level. In the Stormers game, we had a South African or a Stormers trainer standing next to the AR screaming to people on the field and appealing to the match officials. No. That's not on any level of the game. That's unacceptable. Let's get rid of that.
Yes, please.
I mentioned earlier we had the trainer on the field. I'm sure it was a kicking target. In Argentina, the benches were pouring onto the field. I hardly had room to run. Like, that's really untidy.
Yeah.
And we can set a standard at community that is better than that. So
correct.
Onto it.
Correctamundo. No, I think that's a good trend and talking point there, Rob. What's this last one?
So we're still seeing the early shift for the line-out drive. So teams set up for a line-out before the ball is thrown, and that's a really important point. Players from one of the pods, whether it's the front pod goes to the back or the back to the front, they come out, they lead the line-out before the ball's thrown so that when the jumper comes down, they've already got a drive on. Now, that gives them obvious advantage because they know where the ball's going. So they've got momentum, and it's very, very hard to defend legally for the team not in possession. So it's all about the timing. As soon as the ball's thrown, okay, different laws apply, but until that's thrown, you stay there or you'll be sanctioned. So, all right, Candace, so appointments. It never stops. We've got the RGR.
It's been so busy. It's exciting.
Rugby's greatest rivalry, self-proclaimed, but it seems to be sticking, so well done. We've got some other test matches, and we've got someone embedded across the ditch. So let's go to the RGR, Rugby's greatest rivalry. So coming up overnight, well, actually, night before last, we had the Sharkies against New Zealand. That was the Manonu match. So Matt Carley, Carl Dixon, and Holly Davidson did that, the team of three. Same screens, Mike Adams and Andrew Jackson. This weekend, we have the Bulls against New Zealand at Loftus Fairfield in Pretoria. So that's going to be another challenge. So Nika Amashikeli's got that one. Carl Dixon
well done, Nika.
And Matt Carley are on the flags there. Eric Gazor and Mike Adamson are on the screens. So then there's a week break before the first test. So then we go to some of the other matches that are in play. So we've got Australia and Japan. Paul Williams is in the middle for that. In fact, it's an all-Kiwi match official team. So up in Townsville. So it's rare you go to Townsville and you're playing a match that's cooler than the previous week's test match. So it'll be interesting to see if that holds up. So Paul Williams, Angus Mabey and Marcus Plale on the flags, Glenn Newman and Richard Kelly on the screens. There's also a USA versus Argentina 15 game in Florida. Now, I reckon that might be pretty toasty as well, just quiet. I reckon there'll be water breaks in that for sure.
Oh, yeah. It can get really hot down there. Watch out for the crocs.
God, yeah. Well, particularly in August. The Gators will get you. Jeremy Rosier, Robin Kaluzniak, Pete Pender. The two ARs are Canadians, and Cam Russell's the team O. He's also Canadian. So then we go to, but wait, there's more. What do we got? Fiji, South Africa again. This is women's test match. Amber's in the middle for that. Jess is on the line. They've switched from last week. Chloe Sampson's AR2. Rachel Horton, friend of the pod, TMO. And foul play review is being done locally. So that's that bunch of appointments.
In Brisbane.
And then we have embedded in New Zealand our very own, also friend of the pod, Ella Goldsmith.
Yay.
So the Black Ferns are playing a Black Ferns 15. So Ella's over there for the week, embedded with them. So we'll see her on the whistle in that game as well. So a bit happening
Fantastic.
in match officiating land. Yeah.
Oh, this is great.
Right.
Get very
So
excited.
rocking along. I'm going to go to Law of the Week. And we've touched on this. We've touched on this before, but this is an interesting one. So NPC are doing some law trials. Now, most of their law trials we're familiar with. So 20-minute red card, not straight at uncontested line-out free kick, protecting the halfback, shot clocks, 50-22, free kick sanction. What is new, and we will also see this in Super Rugby Oz, is my understanding, post-try positioning. So the conceding team may nominate one player and no more than one to remain in goal to charge the conversion. All the
Ideally,
other players,
someone who's fast.
someone who's fast and paying attention and has energy. All other defenders retire immediately to their own 10-metre line, i.e., to get ready
For
to
the
receive, get ready to kick off. Yeah, right. So this is designed to cut out dead time in the game because the team that's behind the post, they trudge back to halfway.
Yeah,
and there's been data analysis done
about
on it.
the line out in scrum once you've set the mark and everything to make sure everyone gets there. But there seems to be, like you're saying, helping speed up the game, basically.
It's a follow-on from that. It's the same principle. We're trying to get rid of dead time in the game, shorten the actual real-time match duration. So this is one part of it. And also, it keeps the game moving for the spectators, right? So from an equity point of view, the goal kicker has to be onside and in position to receive or catch the ball. But if they're dragging their feet, the match official will say, right, we're about to kick off. So then that transfers the onus to the kicker, the conversion kicker, to get a wriggle on. So they can't then, they might have a player in the bin or they're winding down the clock to full time with a narrow lead. They can't moat back either. So both teams are under the pump to get back quickly, and there are tools and mechanisms for dealing with that. So
I guess from a player point of view, I like this from a match official point of view. I think sometimes as long as the message, when they all huddle together and they're talking about like next phase, the plan, or so on, or like work-ons, I think that's just a small thing that as long as that player is in the loop of something, because you'd be quite isolated for a little bit and then you're running there and having to hear what the next plan would be. But
they'll adapt to that as well. So,
but yeah, that would be my thing from a player point of view. But I totally get it from a match official point of view on how this helps.
And Australia and New Zealand are working really closely on these law variations. So, as I said, we're going to see it in Super Rugby Oz. The other thing that we are going to see is a variation on the quick tap. So the quick tap at a scrum now needs to be at the back of the scrum. So we've talked about this before, the inequity of the 9 taking a quick tap beside the tunnel, 5 metres out from the line. That's impossible to defend legally. So that has the balance on that contest has been swung slightly back to give the defending team a chance. There is a school of thought that, the other teams infringe, bad luck. And I understand that. That's a fair point. It's just a question of where we want the pendulum to sit. The pendulum's been brought back a little bit to give the defending team at least a small chance.
I'm about to say, you're getting like a few 3 more meters or plus.
I think as the team with the free kick, you change how you look at it. Rather than have your 9 take the quick tap, your 8's got to be ready at the back of the scrum because you
that's a good
give
point.
the ball to the 8 and they have a run up from that distance. They're going to be hard to stop anyway. So, just be...
Yeah, and as a referee, you can just point. You'd be like, no, take it from there rather than having to stand. Yeah.
Match official, get the hell out of the way because they're probably going to come through your channel. So you're going to give the free kick at the scrum, step back or in, but get out of dodge somehow. And the 9 and 8 need to be really sharp, be accurate and quick, and then you've got to watch the defending players. So there's going to be a bit going on there, but that's going to be interesting. How many tries will be scored? How many yellow cards will be triggered? Oh, I'll have to see, hey? So,
exactly.
We'll see that play out.
Nice. Those are some good laws of the week.
I'm going to do Stat Central and Golden Whistle. I'm going to roll them in together. I'm going to do them very quickly. there is a recurring theme, in fact, for both of them. So you may recall last episode we kicked into the Centurion Stakes. So 100 episodes for the Play On Pod, which is awesome. So joining us in raising the bat are the Wallaroos. They have their 100th test coming up. Their
That's
first
so
test
exciting.
was only in 1994, so not that long ago. So here we are.
Right before I was
that's
born.
Very exciting. I know. You were just a little twinkle, weren't you? A little twinkle somewhere, Candace. And continuing the Centurion theme, at the second time of asking, because there was a little bit of a false start a couple of weeks ago.
Oh, yes, this is correct. You're right.
The one and only, the very great Gussie Gardner has finally kicked off his 100th Shute Shield game. He was meant to do it a few weeks ago, but there was some last-minute changes, so he was stuck on 99.
It was a teaser.
We thought that might be it for the year.
He was just teasing us a little bit. There you go.
But he's got there in the end. So he's now we're now one ahead of him. We're into 101
episodes. Is that our Golden Whistle?
I think he's got a
or is that not
that
our Golden Whistle? That is our Golden Whistle.
No, that's our Golden Whistle. Yep, Gussie. So Wallaroos for 100, Gussie for 100, Play On Pod 100. There we go. Centurion City.
Centurion City. I love it. We got it all wrapped up. And thank you for those that shared and liked our Scrum Reel as well from the previous pod. I believe it was Law 19.2 and 19.
Yes, 19.2 and 19.3. Absolutely.
So yeah, that draws some interesting, not debate, I would say, so maybe people realizing like maybe what they have or haven't been doing. Or the funny bit of allowing players to do it as well. So I think people quite enjoyed that. So thank you all for listening and liking that one. It was really great to see.
Oh, that was a cracker. That came up in our squad. We had a long chat about that in squad. So yeah, it was good. Yeah. That was a good chunk of time. So that's
you're all just like
what we're about.
Picking which lines. You're like, this line here, do it with the
Well, we ran a poll, who does which way. And it was really interesting to see who did what, right? So and that's the beauty of the Play On Pod. We're here to entertain, educate, advocate, and hopefully make you think about what match officials are doing, whether you're a match official yourself or whether you're just someone involved in the game. It's about broadening the discourse. How's that sound?
Yeah, we're doing our best. Thank you all for listening. You can find us on YouTube as well, and give us a follow on Instagram from Play On Pod. And yeah, hopefully, Piercy, you get better and need to elevate, rest, do all that stuff to make sure you can come back all well.